I have it here, but you're welcome to use your own.
Okay, so this is all that you're saying as well?
Here we go.
So am I supposed to go up there now? Good morning. And I want to welcome you to the Unitarian Church of Evanston. My name is Sally Eggers, and I am your worship associate today, along with Reverend Susan Francis, who has been an absolute joy to work with. So whether this is your spiritual home or you are newly discovering this community, we are grateful that you are with us. We are an inclusive and welcoming committee, seeking truth and love and striving to nurture the human spirit for a world made whole. We are guided by our principles and values, which remind us in every moment that through every challenge, each of us is worthy of love. That's a big one. And that we are all connected through the vast and beautiful web of existence. We come together to remember our kinship with one another and to hold one another in heart and mind with tenderness and very careful attention. If you are joining us online, hello out there in YouTube land, there are many links of connection in the description below the YouTube live stream, including the order of service credits, ways to support our mission, and how to join our email newsletter list. If you are in the sanctuary, we encourage you to use the QR code for the digital order of service or take one of the large prints of service. Both of these are located on the table in the lobby. Hymnals are available right outside the sanctuary doors. We also have an inductive loop system for anyone wearing a hearing aid that is equipped with a T-coil. Your hearing aid should automatically connect if you enable the T-coil feature. For those of you who do not have a T-coil enabled hearing aid, we have receivers that can pick up the loop signal and you can listen through the earphones. They are located on the table in the lobby. So we're going to start out with a few announcements. The Evanston Land Use Commission will be determining whether or not to extend the special use permit that allows Connections for the Homeless to continue using the Margarita Inn as a transitional housing program. If you can, please join Interfaith Action of Evanston in attending the Land Use Commission's meeting on this Wednesday, November 30th at 7 p.m. in the City Council chambers at 2100 Ridge Avenue. The visual effect of having many people supporting the Margarita Inn will make a very powerful statement to the Land Use Commission. And we also have on this Wednesday, November 30th, on Wednesday evening, our REAL team is honoring National Native American Heritage Month at their meeting. You are invited to a discussion about common misconceptions and injustices facing contemporary Indigenous communities, hosted by the REAL team on November 30th at 7 p.m. And you could check out the newsletter for the Zoom link. And one more announcement. There's still time to buy those tickets for the Melanie DeMore concert next weekend. And I don't know if I can say it as enthusiastically as Reverend Karen Mooney says, when she sent us this testimonial, but this is what she sent. Melanie's gifts are exquisite. Her commitment to being and loving humanity shines through her compositions and her singing. There are few singers that can both embody the music they sing and the world they dream of. And Melanie is one. Come to be healed, to hear, to wonder, and to smile. So join us on Saturday, December 3rd, 7 p.m. right here in the sanctuary. And now, let us settle into our shared time of reflection, celebration, and inspiration. As we begin our worship service, those joining us online are invited to gather your chalice as we join in beloved community. So welcome to worship. Okay. And Gregory is going to play a fairy tale by Sergei Bokov. Did I do that right? I did, okay. Another good one, Gregory. Okay. I'm going to read our land acknowledgement, and I just want to preface this with the fact that Reverend Susan has crafted this, and this is her 4th revision of it. Why is it her 4th revision? Because we're about learning, and then evolving, and then learning some more, and then coming up with what it is that comes from our hearts. So the land acknowledgement goes as follows. The Unitarian Church of Evanston resides on the traditional homelands of the Council of Three Fires, Ojibwe, Odawa, and the Potawatomi nations. In 1829, this land was recorded as being transferred from the local Potawatomi community, who had no choice but to sell their land to the U.S. government before being forcefully removed west of the Mississippi River. This land was then sold to white settlers. The Chicagoland area is now home to one of the largest and most diverse urban Native communities in the United States. The acknowledgement of this land's history is one small effort toward building long-term solidarity with contemporary Indigenous communities. Please visit our website under Land Acknowledgement to learn more. There's lots to learn, It's really well done. We name these realities with honor for all the ancestors and with respect for our descendants, with gratitude for the animals and plants sustained by this land, and with deep appreciation for the land we use as sacred space. So we're going to do chalice lighting now, and Steve Sarakaku with our Native Community Solidarity team. I'm there with you, Steve. We light our chalice, symbol of our living tradition. So please join in saying the words to a vision for Unitarian Universalism in a multicultural world, written in 2008 by the UUA Leadership Council. And the words are on the screen. Please join me. With humility and courage born of our history, we are called as Unitarian Universalists to build the beloved community where all souls are welcome as blessings and the human family lives whole and reconciled. With this vision in our hearts and minds, we light our chalice. Okay, please rise in body or spirit and join in saying the words of our covenant. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth and love, and to help one another. Okay, so here's that special time, and I'm going to take the prompt that I saw Shannon Lang do, and that is look to your left. If you would please, look to your left. Okay, now look to your right. Okay, now look behind you. And please greet someone you don't know yet, if you can. Okay. So he's going to ring the bell. Only because the stairs are kind of scaring me. It's time. Can you please resume your seats?
So I'm going to say two things.
Yeah, oh, go ahead.
I love that you're so chatty with each other this morning. So Jen, who is our hymn leader today, has food poisoning, so she's not with us today. So for our hymns that we sing, Gregory is going to play through the whole hymn once, and then I will cue you. So if you know our hymns today, and of course I picked hymns that we don't use very often for the day that we have a sick hymn leader. So if you know the hymns, sing out.
Great job.
4, which is the one on the screen. Good job, everybody. Thank you. Thank you, Sally. Each Sunday, we hold space during our service for the joys and sorrows of those gathered here, those gathered in person, and those gathered with us online. We honor the struggles and the triumphs, the brokenness and the wholeness that is woven into the human experience. If you have a joy or sorrow that you would like spoken aloud during the service, you may write it in our Joys and Sorrows book that lives on the little table by the doors, by the lobby before the service. Or you may submit a Google form that lives on the home page of our website, or you may always email Reverend Eileen or myself. These are the joys and sorrows that have been shared before our service today. Harry Hirsch shares a joy. 41 years ago tomorrow, Libby Sohn and I were married in this church. Joe Romeo shares that he is grateful for the digital birthday cake, 7 candles to represent all of my 75 years. Happy birthday, Joe. Sue Yoakum shares a sorrow at the passing of a neighbor in Tennessee. Mike passed early on Thanksgiving morning from aggressive colon cancer that had just been diagnosed. A joy and a sorrow from Joe and Sally Eggers. We celebrated our 35th wedding anniversary by taking a 7-day cruise down the Mississippi. Our sorrow is that we painfully witness the impacts of climate change. Our dear Mississippi is drying up due to the severe drought conditions. Every night we frightfully saw the river level drop another 1 to 3 feet. The barges are unable to deliver any supplies because they are unable to cruise the Mississippi. It's simply too low. We invite you to join us in using the picturing power of mind and visualize the Mississippi water flow returning and the chain of supplies restored. A joy from Alicia Hempfling. Although the nonprofit I founded in 2014, the New Rhythm Arts Center, is now closed in Rogers Park, the legacy will live on. Thank you to our board member, Henry Please, who has taken the initiative to merge the Northside Roger Park's New Rhythm Arts Center with a new location on the south side in Woodlawn. Known now as the New Rhythm Arts Collaborative, it will still provide music and art experiences to those who otherwise would not have those opportunities. Rogers Park will still maintain a few activities in parks or community centers. This sacred space for our tender offerings is part of the practice of beloved community. Together we expand our celebrations and lessen the burdens of our grief. You are invited to come forward to light a candle. We'll have 2 lines this morning. To light a candle for the joy or sorrow on your heart. And if you would like a candle brought to you, please raise your hand. Please join me. For these joys we give our thanks, for these sorrows we give our love. Please join me in the spirit of prayer and meditation. In writing my reflection today, I found out that my maternal grandmother and my paternal grandfather were both born and raised on Dakota lands. In memory of their lives and the lives of all the Dakota people who were forcefully removed from those lands, I share with you a Dakota prayer. O Great Spirit, whose voice speaks in the wind, whose breath gives life to all the world, hear me. I am small and weak. I need your power and wisdom. Let me walk in beauty. Let my eyes be glad, beholding the red and golden dawn. Make my hands touch all things that you have made with love. Make me wise, that I may understand the sacred teachings you have taught. Help me learn the lessons hidden in every leaf and every stone. Help me, I seek strength not to be greater than my brother, but to conquer the enemy within myself. Make me ready to come to you always with a pure heart and with clear eyes. So when my life fades away like the setting sun, my spirit may come to you with honor and without shame. O Great Spirit, whose voice speaks in the wind, whose breath gives life to all the world, hear me, hear me, hear me. Blessed be. This morning we're going to sing hymn 402, From You I Receive. If you have the order of service, it says a different song. As we sing our response, From You I Receive, 2 times through, our children and youth are invited to head to their faith formation time with their adult leaders.
As we say in our covenant each Sunday, service is our law. UCE is called by our mission, our values, our principles to contribute to our community, to form accountable partnerships, and to express gratitude through giving. Today's offering will be shared with the Unitarian Universalist Advocacy Network of Illinois, or better known as UUANI, whose mission is providing Unitarian Universalists across Illinois with advocacy and legislative leadership to effectively build community and power to promote justice and a healthy planet. UUANI brings social justice into the heart of the spiritual life of congregations and develops ways for our congregations to live our UU principles out in the world. If you are joining us from home or in the building, you may text to give, mail in a check, or give from our website. If you write a check, please do indicate in the memo line if your check is for the shared offering or some other giving. If you are in the sanctuary, the ushers will now pass the collection bowls down the rows, and ushers, please come forward. So please give as generously as you are able, and may what you give bring you joy.
Thank you, Gregory. Thank you all for your generosity. Our reading today is Why Did I Build This Site by Ahote, who has built a website with resources interweaving the connections of numerous indigenous histories. I am well into my adult years now, but there are times when my First Nation heritage is as mysterious to me as it was when I was a boy. Like many, I hail from a family who took little time to collect records or document the many branches of our family tree. As a result, I spent countless hours reaching farther back in history than my ancestors. For me, it's led to many more questions than answers, but I've reflected on where this state of understanding fits in the natural order of things. How much are we meant to know? How comfortable can we be with those gray smudges that keep us from examining the past with clarity? I will continue to research my heritage. With whatever time I have left, my pencil will continue drawing patterns and lines of interconnectedness whenever there are small breakthroughs in the mystery. In other words, I'm reconciled to what I have learned and what I have not. And I'm pre-reconciled to what I will uncover and what I will not. There is great honor in my ancestral tree, as well as color and failure and exultation and despair. Isn't that really the fabric of almost all families? We laugh and love and cry together. We reminisce about things that happened and even those we only wish had happened. There is a natural tendency to dwell on those things that were positive and minimize those bumps in the road that reflect poorly on us or those who went before. My great-grandmother is gone now, but was an excellent verbal scribe for Native America, at least the part of it that she had learned. Her stories and lessons stoked a small fire inside this young boy, and I very much want to share that precious spirit. Discovery and heritage rules my days, from morning coffee to the closing of a good book at night. I hope you find the same spark, whether it be here or on a path yet determined. Our anthem today is Marzuka in A minor, composed by Frederick Chopin. My mother's mother, my maternal grandmother, was born in Iowa. She was sixth generation US citizen, and she became a member of the Daughters of the American Revolution. My father's father, my paternal grandfather, was born in Minnesota, and he was first generation Danish American. So when asked about my family or my ancestral history, it is difficult for me to decide what stories I'm going to be sharing. Some of us have well-documented genealogy with a clear picture of our family journey, a family tree with only a few missing pieces here or there. Many of us do not. With access to DNA tests, some of us are piecing together our family histories. And some of us are having our family stories be challenged. My first cousin on my father's side completed a DNA test, and my cousin is first generation Mexican American on her mom's side. So when we sat down over dinner and were looking at her DNA results, we were fairly certain about which parts were from her mother's side and which were from our shared grandfather's side. And his parents' Danish background, which has never been a gray spot in our family stories, came back as only 4% Danish and 14% Norwegian. Where's the story? What is that story? My cousin and I have no idea. As the author of our reading, Ahote, writes, "When there are more questions than answers, how comfortable can we become with those gray smudges that keep us from examining the past with clarity? Sometimes we might have to accept that we may never know and figure out how to embrace our story as we know it." And then there are the realities of our nation's history intertwining with our family histories. In my case, our nation's history of settler colonialism is intertwined with my family story. My maternal grandmother and her sister used to tell a story from when they were little girls on the Iowa prairie. The story is about a Native American man visiting their home. And I couldn't remember the details, and when I was visiting with my mom and her two sisters this summer, I asked them about this story, and they also could not remember the details. The essence of the story is that a Native American man visited their home and gave my great aunt a corn husk doll, and that their father told them not to be afraid of the man. Which brings up all sorts of assumptions in my mind about these two young girls being taught to be afraid of the local Native Americans in the first place, and an assumption about this visit being a one-time event. It also brings up for me the guilt of my family's part in settler colonialism. This side of my family were farmers on the frontier in Iowa. White settlers who received their farmland after the US government had forcefully removed the local Iowa, Sac, Fox, and Dakota communities. Even on my paternal grandfather's side, who migrated from Denmark well after the land in Minnesota had been taken from the local Dakota communities. But they were able to buy land that had been sold to white settlers and then resold and resold. So how do we reconcile our family stories? Our stories of love and pride, of joy and courage? Our stories of heartbreak and desperation and harm and anger? Our family stories are intertwined with our nation's history of genocide and slavery that have led to the current ongoing systems of oppression. I believe that one way we can be reconciled and possibly healed is through relationships. And one of the ways that we engage in building relationships is by sharing our stories. We cannot change the past, but we can shape our future. How we work to dismantle the cultural systems of oppression under which we live right now during our lifetimes matters. As someone with a lot of cultural privilege, how I align myself as an ally to Indigenous communities who feel the effect of these systems of oppression much more acutely than I do matters. This past Thursday, I attended online the National Day of Mourning, taking place in what we call Plymouth, Massachusetts. It was the 53rd annual gathering hosted by the United American Indians of New England. In her opening remarks, Matoi Monroe, co-leader of the United American Indians of New England, welcomed presenters with the Council of Maya Elders from Mexico, with the Red Nation from New Mexico, with the local Diné and Wampanoag communities, among others. And then she paused, and she looked out over the crowd, and genuinely pleased, and maybe a little surprised, she exclaimed, "There are so many of us." And she said, we, quote, "We greet everyone who is here today, including those on the live stream. People from a lot of Indigenous nations, people from the Haitian and Puerto Rican diaspora. We acknowledge our Palestinian siblings who are here with us today. We're grateful as always to be here with our Black siblings because our liberation is intertwined with yours. And with our Asian and Southeast Asian and Latina and white allies who are here with us today, thank you so much," she said. And then she paused and said, quote, "You know, it's important for you to be here in solidarity with Indigenous struggles. You know, I think we get so separated in these times. I think the dominant culture here separates us, and people really yearn to be in relation with each other and with the earth. And that is what we need to address the destructive systems that are hurting so many of us. The dominant culture works to separate us. Divide and conquer is not a new concept. But the idea that our culture, the dominant culture that we live in every day, works to separate us, has put my ideas about my defense mechanisms for living in this culture into a new light. My acknowledgement of my white guilt about my ancestors' doings. My acknowledgement of my white fragility when someone calls out my doings. Those end up being part of the systems of oppression. And it doesn't have to be about race. That's my example. It could be about gender or economic access or physical ability or something else. We each have our own touch point that brings out behaviors that keep us from growing. Because that guilt and those defense mechanisms work to make me uncomfortable and keep me separate from others, keep me separate from you. Until I'm willing to address these issues, my issues, and get comfortable being in relationship with people who hold identities different than my own, I have not done anything to change the systems. Matoi's call to be in relation with each other mirrors my call to you. Share your stories. Grapple with them, right? Grapple with them. Think about them, write about them, pray about them, sing about them. And then tell them to each other. Within UCE, we are a community of many stories, holding many identities, including identities from marginalized communities, as well as stories from privileged identities. Most of us carry some of each. Whatever your stories, I encourage you to share them. Invite someone you want to get to know better for a walk, or a lunch, or a phone call. You have much to share, and we as a community have much to offer. If we can stop being separate from each other, stop being separate from the earth, we will shape the stories that will be told by our children's children. Blessed be.
Another good one, Gregory. So just really quickly, what may not seem to be a lot of work in putting together a service, given the experience that I had in preparing for this, it's a lot of work. And I really I'm not complaining. What I'm saying is that, I'm so always blown away by Reverend Susan's commitment. What she spoke of now, she just hit that ball out of the park between Gregory's excellent musical accomplishments there, and with Adam, just keeping it all together. Wow. So I really encourage you guys. To be a worship associate. It's very rewarding. So now it's time to extinguish the chalice. And as we extinguish the chalice, please join in saying the words on the screen by Reverend Elizabeth Sal Jones. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Please rise as we sing hymn 411. We're only going to sing the third verse. We've had a beautiful long service. One more, Adam. Thank you. forth to grapple with and know your family's stories. May you share your stories and be accountable for your life in this culture and this time. May we be in relation with each other and the earth. Blessed be. Go in peace.